So now if we go back to our mixed list, right? That seems like such a long time ago, but here we created 3 lists, and we then created a mixed list by adding these 3 lists together. When we then wanted to use the append to add these participant IDs to them, we had a problem because this was added because IDs was a list, and our append takes one item at a time. It sees it as you adding one item, so it adds the whole list as an item. Because remember, we said in lists you can add all kinds of things mixed up. You can add dictionaries to a list, entire dictionaries. You can add an entire VCF file full of dictionaries to a list, then positions, then names. It could be a mixture of everything. And this is not what we wanted. We wanted 10.2 to be added, then 78 as such. So I said that there are 2 ways that you could have done it. You could have either said again, like this, you could have added plus IDs to that, but there's also a method called .extend that you can use. And that the list.extend, again, this is a method. And I'm just going to say this again because some of you had issues again with methods. A method always comes at like the end of your variable name. It's always, in most cases, it's very much tied to your data structure. So with strings, for example, you didn't see .append because strings doesn't have the .append method. The string data type, it didn't have the .append method, but lists has the .append method. So there's a method that specifically exists for lists called .append, and now we see .extend. And it usually looks like this with a dot, the method name, and open brackets. Now, sometimes this takes an argument and sometimes it doesn't. We will see somewhere it doesn't. In the case of .append and .extend, it does take an argument. Sometimes it takes multiple arguments. And remember, an argument is whatever we put inside this bracket that could be extra instructions for this thing. In this case, the .extend gives it the instructions of what to add or what to extend the list by. .extend also adds it to the end of the list, but the difference is now we've seen this, and then we wanted to add the .append. That didn't work, but we can use .extend instead. So this is our mixed list. We want to add IDs to it, which is also a list, but we didn't want to add the whole list, but the individual items. If we then, instead of using .append, use .extend, then let's see if that gives us what we want. I'm going to not print that. Okay, and we can see that this gives us exactly what we want. This added it together. Now, I should have mentioned that for the other one, and I didn't. But I wanted to show you one of the reasons why we also talk about mutability all the time. When we use this, let me just see where we used .append for the first time. Yeah. This here, remember, I still said we added a whole list to this, and that wasn't what we wanted. But the other thing is, look, if I keep running this code, .append, it keeps adding that whole list to it, and it will do that indefinitely, right? So lists are mutable. Be careful. You will keep adding things to it, and it will keep applying the changes. So you have to be careful with when you use. You have to be careful that you know what it's doing. It's not overwriting the information that is stored in your variable name or in your list name. It's going to keep modifying your list.